Hey there, fellow Patriots. Welcome back to Patriots of the American Republic. You know, it never ceases to amaze me. Just when you think you know how corrupt the media is, they hit new lows. Since the tragic assassination of Christian patriot Charlie Kirk, the left-wing media has done some of the most disgusting reporting I have ever seen. Not only have they been complicit in terms of stoking up the flames of hatred by calling every Trump supporter a Nazi, a fascist, a racist, a white supremacist, which in my eyes, absolutely contributes to the rise of political violence from the left that we're seeing now. But now they are trying to twist the reality of the details in order to wash their hands or try to absolve themselves from the violent streak of the left. In my eyes, the leftist media is a huge part of the problem in this country because instead of just reporting the facts, they have their thumb on the scale and they try to report things in order to direct it in a specific manner. Let's go through the details and you'll see exactly what I mean. So as most of you know by now, Charlie Kirk's assassin has been caught. I will not mention the loser's name on my channel, but if you're interested in knowing his name, you can Google that. According to the official report, his father, apparently was a former law enforcement, if not mistaken, turned his own son in.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
Now, within about 48 hours, the soy boy was caught and is now in custody. Now, we're going to await all the details that are going to come out and how the prosecution is going to go. If the death penalty is going to be on the table. I mean, I'm pretty sure it is. It's just, I don't know what the specifics. I've seen something where it's a firing squad. I didn't even know we still did that. I don't know if we do. Sometimes we have certain states that still have archaic laws, right? I would love to actually see something like that based on this degenerate's actions, right? But President Trump did echo the sentiment of he's looking for the death penalty in this particular case. Now that we know who this person is and the details regarding some of the items that were obtained from this individual, the left is trying to make a disgusting attempt to not only smear Charlie Kirk's character, but also attempt at framing this individual as a Trump-supporting right-winger, since apparently, the guy's white. I mean, if you're white, I guess that automatically makes you a Trump supporter. It's absolutely ridiculous. Here is Democratic soy boy Harry Sisson, like many others, trying to paint this dude as a Trump supporter. Let's take a look.
Hours after his condolences, we now have the suspect in custody. That's Tyler Robinson, who's been pretty much confirmed as an avowed far leftist. And now as that information is coming out, we see Harry Sisson's true colors. Instead of facing the reality, he digs up an old Halloween photo and tries to spin it. He posts this image claiming Robinson was dressed in a Donald Trump costume, and that proves that he wasn't a leftist as MAGA is claiming.
Some major news. A new uncovered photo of the alleged Charlie Kirk shooter shows him wearing a Trump costume in 2017. This image is going incredibly viral on social media right now, and it's a post from 2017. It reads, "Happy Halloween. So weird not trick-or-treating with the boys this year. Off they go. Hashtag Trump costume." And right there is the alleged suspect, Tyler Robinson. If you zoom in, you can see that his Halloween costume that year is a Trump costume. Now, this comes after days of people on the right speculating that the shooter must be this crazy liberal with all these insane ideologies, but the alleged shooter is wearing a Trump costume reportedly back in 2017.
So they've been trying to twist themselves into a pretzel in order to make it seem like this dude was not one of theirs, ideologically speaking. Apparently this kid was a normal kid with, yes, conservative Republican family members, but according to official statements from the family, he became more political and radicalized since 2022, which is around the time he started attending the university. Now, it's no secret, these universities are left-wing indoctrination camps that will teach your kids to hate this country, hate Republicans, hate whites, hate Jews, and anything that has to do with Christianity or conservative values, which is exactly why Charlie Kirk's main focus was college campuses, right? Now, let's go over the details of what law enforcement actually found regarding this soy assassin.
That had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
To claim the assassin is a right-winger is absolutely absurd. Why would a Trump supporter kill one of the biggest Trump supporters who undeniably helped Trump win in 2024 elections, as more college-age adults voted for him than in prior elections? That absolutely makes no sense. Now, new evidence confirms this individual has a trans partner, and now these morons are trying to walk back their stupid lies. The casing that says "catch fascist" upsets me the most, because what side is constantly calling us fascists? Let's take a look.
Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core."
What has to happen now, this can no longer be about who Trump is. It has to be about who we are. If we are working towards November, we can no longer say Trump's the bad guy. If you vote for Trump, you're the bad guy. If you vote for Trump, you are ripping children from parents' arms. The mistake that we've made in the past is look at that bad guy over there, look at that bad guy. What the Democrats have to do is make the next election a referendum on not who Trump is, but who you are. If you vote for Trump, then you, the voter, you, not Donald Trump, are standing at the border like Nazis, going, you here, you here. And I think we now have to flip it, and it's a given the evilness of Donald Trump. But if you vote, you can no longer separate yourself. You can't say, well, he's okay, but.
I've witnessed with my own eyes during multiple events that I just attended, this is the reality. The minute they confront or they see a Trump supporter, a right-winger, it's automatically fascist, Nazi, whatever. They label us with these descriptions that make absolutely no sense simply because they're either regurgitating what they've heard or they don't like what is being said. And in order for them to seem righteous or virtuous, that's what they do. They have to paint us as evil. They have to put these labels in order for them to justify in their warped minds their actions, right? Their actual hatred.
I hate you.
Would you like to have a substantive conversation or
a substantive? No, man.
Would you like to have a conversation?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like you. I think you spread hate. I think you spread bigotry. I think you a lot of people off because you're just an awful person. I don't think you really want to debate because you're just here to piss people off and energize your crowd of racists.
What have I ever said that's racist?
Oh,
can you name one thing?
I'm Hispanic. Can I support Charlie?
Can you name
Does that mean anything? I think you're just trying to play a game, and I think this is obviously going to be used.
What have I ever said that's hateful?
I just want to hate you. You're awful. Get off my campus.
When have I ever said anything that's hateful? Have a nice day. He can't say anything I've ever said that's racist, because I've never said anything that's racist. That is the American left in one picture, everybody.
You know, Charlie's absolutely right. This is the picture of the modern left. He wouldn't engage in civil discourse after being invited to by Charlie. He's clearly emotional and filled with hate, as he even states it. He hates Charlie. He labels him a racist and a bigot, but can't provide one single example to back up this claim. Now, in my previous video, I showed a 70-year-old Christian challenging Charlie to a fight, and this guy also makes the claim that Charlie is a racist, while Charlie calls up a black man and calls him brother in Christ. These people are out of touch with reality due to how emotional they are based on the media's political rhetoric. Heck, Stephen King tweeted how Charlie Kirk was a bigot and hates gays and wouldn't hesitate at stoning them, and I'm paraphrasing. But Dave Rubin, who is a former lefty that turned conservative thanks to Larry Elder, turned Republican, I should say, thanks to Larry Elder, went online to defend Charlie Kirk.
Here's Stephen King apologizing. He says, I apologize for saying Charlie Kirk advocated stoning gays. And then he goes on to talk about cherry-picking Bible passages. Your response to that?
Well, my response is what I said to him on Twitter, which is that he's actually more monstrous than any of the characters that he created. That's not an excuse for anyone to hurt Stephen King, obviously. You know, Martha, I happen to be gay. I'm married to a man. Charlie and I broke bread many times. He came to my house many times. We sat together at weddings many times. Charlie did not hate anyone, and I wish Stephen King was even half as good a human as apparently he is a fiction writer.
Dave Rubin.
So, as you can see, David Rubin is gay himself, and thankfully has stood up for truth and stood up to defend Charlie Kirk from the defamation spewed by Stephen King. Now, I'm hearing a rumor, and this is just a rumor. I have only seen it tweeted once or posted once, that Erica Kirk is threatening to sue Stephen King for his defamation of character. But as of right now, that's just a rumor. Like I said, I haven't seen it on any official credible site or credible source. So just take that with a grain of salt. But I do hope that it is true, because we really need to stop these people from defaming us at every corner. Going back to, you know, people like Stephen King, though they can't seem to, you know, just comprehend things. Just because you disagree with someone, that doesn't mean that you hate them, right? As a Christian, we don't agree with the lifestyle of, let's just say, heterosexual prostitutes, but we don't want to see them killed. It's the same thing. And if these prostitutes would be trying to go into our educational system, trying to teach our little girls on becoming prostitutes or even strippers, you can bet your bottom dollar we would be equally against that. But it doesn't mean we want them dead or harmed in any manner. So I'm willing to bet that Charlie and Erica broke bread with David Rubin and his husband, and they shared the gospel with them. And, you know, David has said it himself. They may disagree on certain topics, but Charlie and Erica were always warm with them, always welcoming with them, were nothing but good people to them, and that didn't stop them from becoming friends, right? And that's kind of like how things are supposed to go, right? But I'll tell you what, Dave Rubin, excuse me, I keep mispronouncing his name, Dave Rubin, like I mentioned, is gay, has been visibly upset regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. He went on Piers Morgan's and called out the media for their hateful rhetoric, but took it a step further by directly confronting Young Turk. Let's check this out real quick, because it does speak volumes, and I'm really glad that Dave Rubin is speaking out.
Yeah, Piers, look, this is a guy, you know, I don't talk about it that often. I happen to be gay. It's not a big deal. I've been married for over 10 years. And I've sat with Charlie and my husband and his wife and talked about marriage and talk about the differences there and all of those things. And we talked it out. That's what Charlie was great at. I do have to say, though, on the political side of this, for where this conversation has got heated, it seems to me that everyone agrees that Donald Trump is not Hitler and his supporters are not Nazis. So with that in mind, I'd like to read some other headlines. These are video titles from Cenk's channel. And if in the spirit of reconciliation, maybe he wants to delete these things. Trump cuts anti-Nazi program. Trump spreading Nazi propaganda. Nazis encouraged by Trump's Charlottesville response. Trump defends Nazis, very fine people. That is the biggest hoax, political hoax ever. Trump retweets a neo-Nazi again. Trump disappoints neo-Nazi supporters. So these things don't come out of nowhere. I only blame one person at the end of the day for these murders, which is the crazy person who does the murders. But pretending that what is wildly asymmetrical, I think I have laid that out with evidence here, pretending that it's symmetrical is deeply, deeply dangerous. Piers, you know this because we've discussed it on my show. Even on your show, you have found it way more difficult to find rational, decent people on the left who will explain themselves thoughtfully and calmly and everything else, while the panoply of people you get on the right who shouldn't even be on the right, I would say certainly someone like me, I don't know exactly where Batya considers herself, but people with a variance of political opinions that now broadly are part of the MAGA thing is because of what I just read you, the endless hysteria of the left that has ginned up people to do crazy things. It's not to say you can't say the worst things. You want to say the worst things? Donald Trump's a Nazi. It's so tough to say. You want to say that? Go ahead and say it. It falls on the person who pulls the trigger. But if we're all sitting here saying, yeah, it's not true that Donald Trump's a Nazi and it's not true that his supporters are Nazis and he's not Hitler and all of those things, well, then before you get to reconciliation, a little bit of a mea culpa by some of us might be valuable.
Cenk?
Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is disgusting. So this guy pretends.
So in this video, Cenk gets completely ticked off and refuses to admit any wrongdoing on his part. But to Dave's point, which is my point, if you consistently keep calling Trump and his supporters Nazis and white supremacists and fascists, etc., don't be surprised when these people who are obviously getting inundated with this type of rhetoric see us as those labels and they take the extra mile to try and take us out, because in their mind, they are fighting against evil. Right? So, as upset and angered as many of us are, and we can relate to Dave, there is someone who is grieving tremendously throughout all of this, and it's Charlie's wife, Erica, who has lost her husband, her best friend, and will miss him every single day of her life. And that's going to hurt every time she has to explain to her kids that daddy isn't home. So during her first time speaking since her husband's assassination on Friday, Erica gave us a glimpse of what she's going to have to deal with. And I sincerely pray for her and those kids. I've been doing it all week long, and it's just really painful to see. But it's a good reminder of what this loser did.
When I got home last night, Gigi, our daughter, just ran into my arms. And I talked to her and she said, "Mommy, I missed you." I said, "I missed you too, baby." She goes, "Where's Daddy?" What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, "Baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus, so he can afford your blueberry budget."
You know, at one moment, Erica's voice and the look on her face became serious and resolved. There was a look of determination as she stood in front of the camera and she assured the audience that the fight that Charlie has, that started, will continue. Let's take a look. It really just... very, very powerful message.
But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever. My husband's mission will not end, not even for a moment.
If that moment doesn't motivate or inspire you, it's hard to understand why. I mean, I love this part because we absolutely need to stand strong, defiant, and take action by pushing back on everything the left does and stands for. Now, to Erica's point, Charlie started a movement that will push harder and further than ever before. Over the weekend, millions went out to show support for Charlie, not only here in America, but across the globe. It's been reported that thousands went out in London to honor Charlie Kirk.
Look at what's currently being reported. We're seeing tens of thousands, maybe over 100,000 people gathering in London to memorialize Charlie Kirk. And of course, you could imagine the reports following this. NBC News says that London braces for mass far-right rally where Charlie Kirk will be mourned. They continue on with their disgusting propaganda. We're also seeing Charlie Kirk's social media following blow up by millions overnight. The numbers are just staggering. I mean, people seem to be rallying behind him. This incredible man, this God-fearing man, this family man, this father, he started an organization called Turning Point USA. Well, the hope is that this is a turning point, that this becomes a global movement. And the way that happens is with people opening their eyes.
What an amazing display of support for our brother. In addition to London, I've seen pictures of Australia, Uganda, South Korea, celebrating the life of our patriotic brother, and that's absolutely wonderful. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, since last year, I've had I've gone back and forth whether if I should keep doing this channel or not. I've expressed it to my wife. I said to myself, I'll just do it until Trump wins, and maybe a few months after that, I'll do some biblical videos, and then I'll stop. Because honestly, it takes a long time to do each of these videos. It takes me at the very least 4 hours, at the very least. And so I ask myself, is it really worth it? I've had this channel now for a little over 2 years. I barely have 300 subscribers, and my videos on average get about 50 views. Is it really worth it? And then came this week, and everything that took place with Charlie, and now I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I get 1 view or 50 views or 100 views or 1,000 views. I'm resolved. I'm not going to stop. Our conservative Christian American voice has to be louder now than ever before because we are in a battle. We are a battle for the soul of this country. We're in a battle for the soul of our kids. We're in the battle of the soul for our family. And we have to keep pushing. Each and every one of us now has to become a Charlie Kirk. So this channel will continue. And I've been invited to be a guest speaker on Saturday, September 20th at a Republican event here in Florida, where I will do my best to represent our country and do exactly what Charlie has called us to do, and that is to continue to speak up, speak out, not just for our country, but more importantly for the gospel, right? It's got to be both, hand in hand, right? We cannot lose our country. We cannot, more importantly, lose our faith. Because I tell you what, our country has become a lot more secular, and Charlie even called it out. And so the more secular we become, the more apart from God we become, and then it's just a downfall, right? The more apart that we become, our society is on the decline. That's undeniable. So it's very, very important. Now, it's clear that the media is absolutely vile, and it's very clear that the left is soulless, as they've been, as there have been many who have, tried to paint Charlie as a right-wing extremist, or he's part of the alt-right, and because of that, I'm justified in my celebrations, and so on and so forth, right? So as we reported last time, people are getting fired for celebrating Charlie's assassination, which I'm utterly grateful for. And even more grateful are those from the same political aisle that are witnessing these celebrations, are starting to come to their senses and admitting that this is wrong and making the decision to leave the Democratic Party. Let's check this out because this is pretty eye-opening.
What I want to say about Charlie is that he and I had numerous disagreements. I'm a woman who's married to a woman, and despite that, he invited me on his podcast. He had me speak at his Turning Point event. He platformed me. He retweeted me. This is a guy that was willing to engage in debate to resolve disagreements. And the fact that I am seeing celebration, and I'm not going to point fingers, I'm not going to make this about any red, blue, I don't want to be divisive here, but this is disgusting. I got a tweet from my daughter today. I'm not thinking clearly. I got a text from my daughter today telling me that kids at her school were celebrating. Okay, at my daughter's high school. Something is wrong in this country. The divisiveness, the rhetoric, the othering has got to stop now.
Good to be with you. I'm Katie Turk. Today is a terrible day. Almost 24 hours ago, down to the minute, we learned that Charlie Kirk had been shot. And as President Trump posted at 4:40 p.m., we learned that Kirk had been killed in that attack. It was an attack on a man, but it was also an attack on the foundation of this country, on the idea that we are able to talk to each other, disagree with each other, debate each other, yell at each other even. We don't physically harm each other. We don't murder each other. We certainly don't justify it or make excuses for it.
Anymore. I did leave the left because I was getting sick and tired of their behavior. But I was considering myself to be in the center. No. Whoever did this just fucked up. And I'm seeing a lot of people who were on the left say that they're no longer going to be on the left anymore.
As a registered Democrat, all I have to say is the Charlie Kirk shooting just proves that we are the worst, man. My party is the fucking worst. I got people celebrating, hoping that he dies. Are we fucking for real right now? Where's the empathy? Where's the respect, man? It's disgusting. It's disgusting, truly. And the fact of the matter is this: he was a father, and whether or not I agree with his political opinions, all he truly wanted to do at the core was see this country be the best. And I can fucking respect that. And to see people just be blatantly disgusting, man, we're the worst, man. We're horrible.
So breaking fucking news, Charlie Kirk got shot in the fucking neck. That was the last bastion. I can't be a liberal no fucking more. You see the fucking comments? I hope the gun is okay. The same fucking people asking for moral decency. I cannot in good faith align myself with you guys anymore. I once had a headache. You'll be all right. Cause you don't agree with him politically?
I'm not gonna lie, y'all gotta be a different type of sick to be celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, bro. That's crazy to me. Like, you don't gotta agree with anything bro say. I made a video about not agreeing with what he said on Juneteenth. That don't mean I think he deserved to lose his life though. Every page that's posting Charlie Kirk's death.
I've been sitting in my car for the last hour or so, just trying to process the last couple of days. And forgive me if I don't have the energy. It has been really troubling. I just came here to announce my official divorce from the Democratic Party. And you're talking to a guy who's been voted Democrat since I was 18 years old. And up until recently, I've been changing how I vote, but still carrying the label, you know. I'm the type of guy who doesn't jump ship. I try to be the voice of reason within the ship to try to steer it back to a true north. But this party has lost its way. The Democratic Party, let's be honest, has become demonic and barbaric. And I, as a Christian, can't be a part of that anymore. Look, I'm a proud and beautiful black man. I love being black. I love my skin, everything that comes with it. I was a proud Democrat. I remember they used to stand for the right thing. But before I'm beautifully black, before I am a member of any party, I'm a born-again Christian. I'm a born-again Christian, and the Democratic Party right now doesn't represent my values, my ethics.
I'm a black man born in America. I know what problems that exist in this country.
But I also know there's far more good people than there are bad people in this country, regardless of who you are, what your ethnic background is. White, black, Hispanic, and beyond. I'm in a studio here in Las Vegas, and I'm looking outside, and I see people looking at me and smiling and saying, "What's up, Stephen?" They don't look anything like me. And I don't care, because they're showing me love, and I'm showing love right back to them. At some point in time, we got to recognize, can't just speak about it. Can't just give lip service to when such a vile act takes place. And we're going to give lip service to the tragedy of the moment. And then within 24 hours, we move on with our lives like nothing happened. Something did happen. Don't care what his political beliefs were. I don't care what he felt. I care about the fact that a man was gunned down in front of two of his children who are 5 years of age or less. That he's dead at the age of 31. That his wife is a widow. That his children are fatherless. Because his ideas and his beliefs differed from somebody else, apparently. And then I'm going online and I'm seeing people celebrating it. Shame. Shame on you.
No one should be celebrating anyone's assassination regardless of the views they had. You're better off staying silent than posting the garbage that the left has been posting, and I'm just thankful that it's coming back to bite many of them. If the shoe was on the other foot, as much as I dislike Obama, I'd never call for his or celebrate his assassination. But this brings up an interesting point. The response from the left and the right is pretty much night and day. When someone like George Floyd died, who wasn't a big person, and nobody knew George Floyd until he actually died, right? But cities burned literally across the country. So many cities got destroyed. So much damage was done. Innocent lives that had nothing to do with the incident were lost. But when it comes to right, the only thing that's been burning since Charlie's assassination have been candles. That tells you a lot about the difference of each party and what each party represents. Now, anytime I've engaged in discourse online with people who are unable to defend the indefensible, automatically shift to, well, it's both sides, right? They blame both sides in order to redirect the conversation and not really own the reality that their side is extremely violent. Now, I don't recall assassination attempts on Kamala Harris, on Biden, on Obama, on Clinton. Heck, I don't even recall ever reading about Jimmy Carter, as bad as he was. But we have a clear picture of the assassination attempt on President Trump's life last year. I know Reagan, I think there was more than one attempt on Reagan. Bush, there was an attempt on Bush. So the vast majority of nationwide violence has come from the left. So don't allow them to change the narrative or change history. In a recent interview, they tried to do that with Scott Jennings, and he shut it down. This is how he responded.
People come along to lecture conservatives about toning down the rhetoric and this and that, whether it happens on the left or whether it happens on the right, and no matter who the victims are, somehow we're always told that it's conservatives who are the problem and that they need to tone down the rhetoric. Meanwhile, you have people like Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut, who the day before Charlie was shot, in an interview said that we're at war and you have to be able to do whatever you need to do to win the war. You had Tim Walz the other day telling a crowd that he was hoping to wake up one day to news that Donald Trump had died. You had Seth Moulton, a congressman from Massachusetts, on TV this morning lecturing conservatives that they're the real problem. Now, it's our friend that's dead. There's a lot of causes on the left right now that are causing people to engage.
Okay, and equally
at a minimum,
on the
rhetoric.
right as well, though, Scott. Equally on the right as well. Can we at least
Listen,
be fair about this?
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I have no time and no quarter for any criticisms of Republicans or conservatives or Donald Trump or Charlie Kirk or any other both sidesing this. It's our friend who's dead, shot in the throat while doing what we're supposed to do as Americans, which is engage in civil discourse. He goes to a college, colleges are not known as hotbeds of conservatism. He goes to a college to engage in civil discourse, and now he's dead because that's what he did. So I really don't have any time for both sidesing this today. It's our friend that's dead because he was doing what you're supposed to do as an American. Talk, use your voice, use your words, use your powers of reasoning, debate, speech. That's what we do as Americans. And now our friend's dead, and you want to lecture me about Donald Trump or
I'm not
conservatives
lecturing
or
you.
both
I guess
sides?
I'm just
honestly,
saying.
it tells me you don't really get what's happening, and
well,
so
no,
I'm happy to explain it to you, but you clearly don't.
I am, Scott, seeking to understand how, if this is not a time for rhetoric, if it is a time to remember your friend who he's been assassinated. There is no words to express how awful that act was and is. No words. And if this is a time for respectful discourse, why is a Fox News anchor saying this is war? Why is Steve Bannon saying Kirk is a casualty of war?
That's the way it feels. It feels like that on the left right now, there is increasing amount of violent rhetoric. There is an increasing amount of people who have decided that debate and politics are useless and that they need to take it to another level. That's the way it feels to conservatives. And do you know why it feels that way? Because our friend was shot in the throat and murdered in cold blood. That's why it feels that way. Because our president last summer was nearly assassinated.
The left has to own this. So anytime you hear someone say, but both sides, stop them right there and say, no, this is your side. You guys need to stop it. Now, to address the lady mentioning, war rhetoric from people like Steve Bannon and others, guess what happens when you continue to not just verbally attack people, but there's been obviously a long record of your side attacking us on the right, and now you've moved the needle from targeting political opponents to commentators and influencers. Let's not forget, 2 young Jewish people were murdered outside a Jewish museum just a few months ago in DC. So to Scott's point, our president was nearly assassinated last year in order to prevent him from taking back the White House. The left expects us to constantly get punched and not punch back. And that is where they don't see it. They don't see it, right? Now, some people might ask, but what's the solution here? Where do we go as a society? So we caught the killer, but this isn't going to change the environment, especially since the leftist media continues to double down on their hate-filled rhetoric. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction, and it's a matter of time before this happens, and the left seems hell-bent on either intentionally or unintentionally flaming the flames of violence, pushing us closer and closer to the inevitable. If there is another Charlie Kirk, which I showed in our last episode how the left is calling for the life of Matt Walsh to be next, I have to ask the question, will that be the nail in the final coffin? In other words, what is the red line that needs to be crossed? Because turning the cheek can only be done for so long before we begin to react. And I'm willing to bet my life savings the left then will say, oh, look, they're the violent ones. I'm sorry, but you can only poke the bear for so long before the bear lashes back out at you. I hope and pray that we don't get there. But if this keeps going, I just don't want to see what happens afterwards, because the response is going to be like a tsunami. So I hope that things calm down. I hope these people, the media, the leftist politicians, they stop playing this very, very dangerous game of Russian roulette that they're playing. Guys, that's my video. Thank you so much. Please continue to pray for our country. Continue to pray for Charlie's wife and kids. And I'll be praying for each and every one of you guys as well. God bless you guys. God bless America. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Take care.